everyone, and welcome round to episode 136 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy chortling away on your other screen or in your other ear if you're listening to the podcast. It's Cam Blake in Hobart,
Hello.
Tasmania, Australia. We can't tell anybody what we're just talking about. How are you, Cameron?
I'm really good, Brendan. How are you? You're an idiot.
Thank you.
Oh, I should have done it. I should have done it during the middle of the intro,
No,
but I
you should
didn't.
not have.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm really well. How are you going? Nice to see
Uh,
you.
yeah, good, thanks.
Hmm.
Good to be back in Hobart Town, mate. You've had a week in the
Yeah,
Tarkine, you lucky
yeah.
bugger.
We went to the Tarkine. We had some weather. We had a bit of. I think we had more cloud and rain than we did sunshine, but it was good. Yeah, we had a good crew, and we had
Nice.
some good foresty conditions and some
Have you
wild
been to the
coastlines.
Tarkine like 5 times this year or something?
3 times this year.
Oh, why does
It's
it feel
it's
like
it,
more?
it's got to be my best-selling workshop, I reckon. It
Mhm.
has been that and the Flinders Ranges are the two workshops that just constantly sell.
It's because they're
Um,
both magnificent areas for photography.
yeah, the Tarkon is pretty special, and Flinders Ranges is a bit mind-blowing as well. But
Hmm.
yeah, but next year I'll be doing two workshops in the Tarkon, but they'll be co-hosted with Australian Geographic. So there
Very
you
good.
go. So
Excellent.
they can do some of the organising for me for a while.
That's
I'll be
right. You
on
can
the
just
year.
show up and run
I
it.
can show up. It's a bit of a nice change, but yeah.
Yes. Nice
Uh,
one.
what's been going on? We got any new subscribers or anything? Like since I've been
The
away, like we're up to a
subscriber
thousand.
count is ticking along nicely.
So it's
Thank you for
what's
everyone who has liked, followed, and shared the show around. We always appreciate you. We have a winner in our black and white comp, Cameron.
oh, do we?
We said we needed an extra week. We got our extra week.
Actually,
Um,
we made the decision 3 seconds before we came on.
well, that's right, because um we both think this is a great shot. Look,
It is a
and
great
the
shot.
reason it's taken us so long is because there was
Tell the
some
truth. Tell the
awesome.
truth. Tell the truth. Why did it take us so long?
We couldn't decide on a winner, first of all,
Yeah.
and second of all, the end. There's just so many awesome entries.
Yeah. So going forward with our next competition, what we'd like to see is some crapper entries
That's right.
just to make our job a bit easier, if it's okay. So
So for September, it's entered the worst photo you've ever taken.
worst
No, don't do
landscape.
that. Don't
No,
do that.
don't. No, we'll get inundated with that.
Very good.
Imagine all the cannon shots that come through.
Don't be like
Anyways,
that. The winner of the black and white comp is this photo on the screen right here.
ping.
And it was taken by Steve Andrews. Yay. Give it up for
Yay. Well done.
Steve.
We need sound effects.
It's been that long that neither Cameron nor I can remember who sends him a prize, but we'll sort something out.
It's my prize, I
Oh,
think.
Cam's prize.
Yeah.
What does Steve win, Cam?
He wins a $100 voucher to use. I guess they can use it on the Down South Photo Show website as well, can't they?
Well, whatever.
$100. We'll get in touch with Stephen or Steve. Steve will get in touch with us. We'll put up something on the Facebook page announcing the winner.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know where Steve is from. We don't know where that photo was taken. But it
We
is a photo for those playing at home of the man, I think he's fishing on the coast with all the pelicans flying around and got some beautiful light. It's a real nice scene.
let's guess where it's taken. Do we know? We
Uh,
don't know, do we?
I don't know. Let
My
me.
guess is Lake's Entrance.
Oh, right. Okay.
It looks Lake's Entrance-ish.
I'm going to say it's in England.
We don't get those pelicans in England. They're Australian pelicans.
Did I call them pelicans or penguins before?
I can't remember. I think you called them pelicans.
Okay. Don't they get pelicans like that in England?
Not that they do get pelicans, but there's a yucky grey looking ones. Aussie pelicans are the bestest.
Yucky grey. Sorry to all those people in England tuning in.
I think I'm not a ornithologist. Hey, there's word of the day.
What? Is that what bird? Oh, really?
Ornithologist, yeah. That's a bird person.
Really?
Anyway,
I thought it was a
look
name.
at you Googling it. You don't believe me. Good God.
A person who studies or is an expert in birds.
Thank you very much. Now, so well done, Steve.
Well
Awesome.
done. Yeah,
Next
awesome. Good
week
stuff.
we'll have the comp for the next month. So what we'll do, as we always do, is we'll put
Yes.
up our top 10 for the People's Choice on the Facebook page, and People's Choice will be decided by the end of September. And then we'll have an October comp. Why not?
Look, that's perfect. That's exactly what we will do.
That is exactly what we will do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Can I do shout outs before we do backgrounds, please? because I've got a
I
few this week.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You are becoming a celebrity in your own
If you
camera
come
shop.
into Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, mention that you've seen us on the podcast, you get a shout out on the podcast. So hello to Susan and Hayden. Cameron, you know Susan.
Northover
Correct.
and
And
Hayden
Hayden is her husband. So
who's just
both
booked.
Susan and Hayden are coming on our 1 day workshops in January down here
Are
on the
they?
beautiful Ballerine.
Yes, they are. I saw a order come
Um,
through for that.
I don't know why they booked themselves on the same one.
Uh,
Anyway, you do one on Friday and one on Saturday, surely. But anyway, that's fun.
Surely, yes, but
So
they'll still
g'day
have
to
fun.
you.
Yep.
Hello to David, who is a new listener. He is from the UK. He now lives on the Bellarine Peninsula here.
Cool.
And he has a business called Rapt TV, RAPT TV. He is a videographer, Cameron,
Cool.
who does stock footage for Getty and these big companies
Nice.
that do stock footage.
Nice.
Lovely, lovely man, David. Really enjoyed your company, David, and we will catch up for that pint at some point. And last but not least, Christian. Christian is studying at RMIT. Christian's a young bloke who is keen on his photography and interviewed me yesterday for his RMIT projects. They had to
God.
interview a working photographer, so he chose me. So, and
Guess
that was
top.
awesome. I
Get.
really enjoyed our time, Christian. So, hello to you. I promised to shout out. There it is.
Mate, this is just becoming the Brendan Waits photo show. This is unreal.
Just this little bit
This
of the
little bit.
episode.
Well, if anyone wants to come into Hobart into my address into my office here and say good day,
Yeah,
I'll give you a free book.
there you go.
I'm
You
not
just got to
telling you.
find him. It's like a Where's Wally
Where's
sort of
Waldo?
thing.
Where's Waldo?
We're not giving out his address on air, but you just got to
No,
find him.
no.
You can probably look it up anywhere, but it's yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's cool. So you had at least four people in your shop this week.
Yes, but that's right. Didn't make any money, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
right. Yeah.
That's all good.
Oh, very good. Backgrounds.
Let's start with yours.
Okay, because I got my special remote
You
control.
got your hider.
All right. So no real genius guesses there as to where that might be. But that is part of the Tarkine Wilderness up in beautiful northwest Tasmania. This is at a place called Sarah Ann Rocks, which I don't know how many times I've been there, but every time I go there, I come back with different photos. It is just a beautiful region of a couple of kilometers of coastline that just continues to offer up these incredible, jagged, rugged, amazing scenes. We had some really nice snippets of light come through in the late afternoon while we were there, and it just worked really well. We had some big waves crashing in, but this is shooting sort of southwestish from one of the high points, and that sun's coming in from the right-hand side to light up all those beautiful rocks. Just over the back of that's the roaring sea and the ocean, which again was making some cool shots as well. But yeah, it's a really good spot, the Tarkine. We never get sick of it. Just incredible. It was so rough when we were there that when we went to Sharon, who's a good listener of the show, Sharon's come on a few workshops. She was around the back of those rocks where it was, and we went over there to go collect it towards the end of the day, make sure she hadn't been swept away to South Africa. We could feel the waves through the ground crashing
Wow.
in the rocks. It was full on.
Yep.
And and because there's a couple of layers of rocks before it hits the coast, so it breaks all the waves up. But there was huge waves out there. It was just incredible to sit and watch. So
Very cool.
it was very cool. If you're keen on going to the Tarkine, next year we're doing it with the help of OzGeo,
Yep.
which will be May and September. So you can jump on my website or you can jump on the OzGeo website and book through them. But if you come along, it's an incredible place.
Awesome. It is an incredible place. I
Hmm.
had the pleasure of doing our trip with you there earlier this year, and I'd never been there before, and it was simply stunning. And
Hmm.
I'm itchy to get back there at some point, which I will. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to Tasmania 4 times next year.
Yep.
Struth.
Sounds about right. That's about as many times as I'll be here.
That's right. Um,
Why did your background change
so
all of a sudden?
I changed my background because I want to. This is leading to the first topic of what I
Ah,
got up to today. So, um, avid followers of the show, and this is a bit of a reference, and we'll see if anyone picks up. Some of you might remember our friend Jack, who came with us on the Overland last year and the Three Capes earlier this year.
yes.
Jack's an Ocean Grove local. We're mates. We've known each other for a bloody long time. Anyway, as it turns out, Jack's dad is a sheepdog trial expert and won many awards throughout his life running sheepdogs. So today and this whole week, the Australian titles are in Geelong.
Right.
And my mate Jack tipped me off on this. And as luck would have it, I had a few hours to kill this afternoon. So I went on into the sheepdog trials. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this on the show is, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is it's a different kind of photography that we rarely talk about. Like, we don't talk about sports photography and that sort of stuff on the show. We're a landscape channel. But the reason I wanted to bring this up was and it also links a little bit to BFOP as well, is get out there and try something different. So when I went to do these photos, I'd never seen. Have you ever seen a sheepdog trial cam?
I have.
Yep, they're pretty cool. Like,
They're pretty cool. They're full on. They're
yeah,
entertaining and yeah,
they were. It was actually pretty cool. So basically, they've got a football oval, and they have to. Three sheep get let out at one end. You've got
yeah,
your dog at the other, and then you've got to round the sheep up and then take them through a series of obstacles and
yeah,
fences and this sort of stuff. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I actually did. It was actually pretty cool. The dogs are amazing. Like they're
yeah. They're
incredible.
really
It's
cool.
it's what they're bred for. To see them when they get let out onto the arena and all of a sudden they just go into working dog mode. It's
Yeah,
brilliant. And the way they were stalking the sheep and listening for their commands, and it was just, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
yeah,
Um, the point of this is that it gave me a chance to try some new photography. So get out there and have a crack at some new stuff. I'm not
mm,
saying go and do sheepdog trials, but any kind of sport. Go to your local
yeah,
footy ground, go to netball courts and try and photograph it. Um, it was a challenge. It was a real challenge, and it was a way for me to use my gear in a way that I don't normally use it. So
yeah.
I was shooting with the EM1X with the 100 to
I
400,
knew you're going to say that. I knew that's what you'd used.
and I used the tracking system. So autofocus tracking.
Right.
And I must admit, I found it pretty hit and miss. It
Oh,
was, yeah, and I think it was because the
ooh.
dogs were
So just
sort of
chuck that,
zigzagging. That's it.
just throw it out.
No, no, it's good
Oh,
camera. But
right.
because the dogs were zigzagging behind sheep and behind their master and stuff, I found,
Yeah.
and it was all happening so quickly. Um, what
Did
I
you
ended
have
up
did
doing,
you have face detection on?
no, because I didn't want it to constantly go back to the face of the dude.
But sometimes it picks up the faces of the sheep.
Right. Well, I didn't want that either because the star of the show is this guy, is the dog,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
wanted to be able to get the shots with the dog, and the dog's sort of zigzagging across the field and stuff.
yeah.
It took me a good probably three or four. So each, for want of a better word, contestant is on the field for
Mm,
about 10, 15 minutes.
yeah,
So it took me until I got to about the third or fourth one before I started getting shots that I was happy with. Um, to the point where I stopped shooting raw files. I just shot JPEGs because I just wanted to see. I wanted the camera to perform at its absolute fastest as well,
yeah.
just to see what that would give me, like how fast it could actually shoot. And yeah, it was grouse. I ended up shooting. That's right. I use the word grouse.
Grouse.
It ended up I ended up shooting probably 1,500 frames of the
Right.
event. Anyway, once I got these photos, I sent them to my mate Jack, and Jack just sent me a message back and said, "What a legend! Like, thank you so much for getting these photos. As it
Yeah.
turns out, that is my dad's last event ever."
Right. And that'd be his dad because that looks a spitting image of Jack.
That's Dave, Dave
Dave.
right there.
Right.
So this is Dave's last event,
Right. And you
and
captured it.
yeah, and it was
That's
complete.
cool.
Now there's on the running sheet of the entries, there's like 130 entries. I
Yeah.
had no idea when Dave would be on. I turned up 3 entries later. Here's Dave.
All right.
It was a real, yeah, it was a real moment caught. And
Right.
so,
That's
so the
a little
family
bit
will
of the
be absolutely
universe's
wrapped that I got these photos. So
that's a bit of the universe telling you to be somewhere,
yeah, I think they call it serendipity. I think it just everything just lined up. So I was,
just a walking encyclopedia, you aren't you?
yes, I need a new thesaurus.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
was it
very
was
cool.
brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And for those of you who are in my area. It is running right through till Sunday. This comes out Friday night. So Saturday and Sunday, they actually have the finals at the Geelong
Yeah.
Showgrounds. Cost you $10 to get in. Take your camera, go and take some awesome photos. You can take whatever camera you want. You just go and shoot it. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
And not only that, like all those kind of outbacky or country shows and festivals and stuff like that, you got all the animals running on the field and doing their presentations and stuff like that. But there's some really cool abstracty stuff around, like
Yeah.
like the leather of the horses things and like
Yep.
all the different things they use. There's really cool stuff to.
And the characters, mate, in the crowd. Like I could have spent time just doing portrait shots of
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
with massive big akubras on,
yeah,
but the dogs are just gorgeous and they're
yeah,
everywhere. And yeah, it's actually it was quite cool. And on the Saturday and Sunday, as I say, when this comes out, they have Australia versus New Zealand. So it's
mhm,
actually like a proper trophy that they do every year.
right,
And to make the Australian team, I think you got to finish like top five out of 110 entries in this thing. So
right.
then you progress through to the Australia versus New Zealand championship on Saturday and Sunday.
I'm gathering you can't bring the Velcro gloves.
No, they stayed at home.
All right, I thought
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, you were using them. UEWE.
Oh,
Thank you
boom
very
dish.
much.
Hey,
Yeah.
how do you spell grouse?
GROUSE,
Excellent. I'm
like
making you.
mouse,
I'm
but
gonna
with
make you.
grouse.
I'm gonna make you a t-shirt.
The grouse.
That just says grouse.
Yeah, that's grouse. I like it.
Um,
Yeah, so that was
yeah,
awesome. But the link to BFOP, meaning that at BFOP there's 130, I think, plus workshops or something like that.
yeah,
And already I'm talking to people who are going who are like, oh, I really hope I get into this workshop. It's like, you've done that. You know how to
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Do something completely different. Go and do
yeah.
a macro workshop, go and do a weddings workshop, go and do a food workshop. You learn
Uh,
so much more about photography when you're outside a genre that you already know and outside
yeah,
your comfort zone a little bit.
100%. I was talking to a good friend of the show, Mrs. Sarah Jane Eggins, who won out.
SJE.
Yeah, SJE. She won a competition last month or the month before.
Hmm.
She messaged me and said, which ones do I do? What should I consider? I'm like, try anything. It doesn't matter. Like the whole idea is just get there, just be there,
Yep. Yep.
and go and do whatever you want to do. Put yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you'll get something out of it as well. And that goes for anyone going there. Um, just get there, and just don't stress too much about what you want to do. If you get into it, awesome. If you don't stress. You're still going to have an awesome time.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Could not agree more. And I think, and I know as BFOP gets closer, it is referenced a lot that it's not
Mhm.
just the workshops.
No.
BFOP HQ is a great place to hang out and talk with
Yeah.
like-minded photographers, have a coffee, have a beer.
Mm.
They've got food trucks there. They have presentations on stage all the way through the weekend.
Yeah.
Um, and not to mention the fun and games that happen on Friday night and Saturday night as well. So
Mm.
yeah, it's just a good environment for photographers to go to. I guarantee you 100%, this is a Down South Photo Show guarantee. You will come away with something about photography you didn't know before.
Like a
I
new camera,
guarantee it.
like a new camera system.
That's right. From Canon.
From Canon. Oh, are they sponsoring the show? No.
No, but they are sponsoring BFOP though.
Yeah.
So, yep.
You know what? It's going to be interesting this year at BFOP with Sony and Canon finally arriving after 7 years.
Hmm.
Uh, it's going to be, I can think the dynamics are going to be interesting.
I think it'd be great. I want
Yeah,
to
I don't
try. I
know.
want to try some gear. How
Well, you
cool's
know
that?
why? Because Nikon have been there every year and been amazing supporters. Fuji have been there a while. Olympus have been there from the get-go.
Yep.
Canon have said no. Sony have said no for so many years. Now they're going to come along. It is definitely going to be a bit of a certain part of the anatomy measuring contest, I think. Because Nikon have their big table. They have their massive table, all
All
the
right.
lenses. Ca
Where are they going to fit?
Canon's going to rock up and just put lenses everywhere. So it is going to be funny. Yeah, I can't wait for it. So
Yep.
should be
Right.
good.
Well, you can go and, and start rumors about, hey, you should hear what the Nikon guys are saying about you. Well, you
Yeah.
should hear what the Canon guys are saying about you.
Yeah, yes. I just tried out the 100 to 400 on the Nikon. It's so much better than your white piece of shit. I would. Oh, look. I'm not the kind of guy that goes stare stuff up between brands.
No, no, you don't go looking for it.
No, look, I'll just probably you won't even know I'm at BFOP most
No,
times. I just
no,
just I
no.
just I just blend into the crowd and
That's right.
just away
Particularly in
we
that
go.
red hoodie that you're wearing,
Yeah, you know why I'm wearing this?
because everything else is dirty.
No, this is filthy. I've been wearing this for like 5 days straight. Um,
Great. Glad it's not
and
smell-o-vision.
that's not smell-o-vision. But I came down here, I've been packing all my calendars up to go out, and I got hot before, and I went upstairs, took this off down here, went upstairs, came back down to do this. I'm like, friggin' hell, it's cold down here. It's the only jumper it was down. I'm like, just chuck it on.
Right.
So I'm not
Perfect.
promoting my business or anything. Um,
Can't
what?
read it.
Can't read
Can't
it.
read
Yeah,
it. It's sort of flaring.
Larry. Cool. Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. And g'day, Jack, if you're listening.
G'day, Jack.
Must
G'day,
must
Dave.
must be due
That's
for another
Dave. That's
walk.
Dave. Hopefully, Dave doesn't mind me using his likeness. I'm sure he doesn't mind. Dave's 85 years old, by the way, and
Really?
he's out there
Wow.
doing his thing. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Cam, next topic, which may be the thumbnail, so people might already know this. Are people now starting to see the light and go to a crop censored camera over a full frame camera? This is becoming a more common question I have on workshops, says Cameron. Why am I reading
Yes.
your question? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. I thought you were going to take ownership of it and also say, "Oh,
No.
that's
So you have people on your workshops
I've noticed a bit of a tr
talking
I've
more
noticed a bit
about
of a
crop
trend.
sensors.
Yeah, a lot of people asking about crop sensors, and I think this is on the back of improved noise reduction and sharpening and all the AI kind of stuff that's coming in. I think there's a swing out there that people are starting to move away from the idea that full frame is better because it's full frame. There's all the throwaways. Oh, smaller sensors have noise. They're not great with this. They're not great with that. I think it's becoming less of an issue for people. Combine that with the size of these full frame and full frame cameras, even though they're mirrorless. I think people are still seeing that the lenses have got to be quite big to fill that sensor and things like that. So we had a few interesting conversations up in the Tarkine and a couple of other workshops as well, where people have they've gone and bought their Z series Nikons, and they've gone and bought their Canon R series or whatever it might be, and within a couple of days they're contemplating changing, being on the workshop. So shout out
Well,
to Ed, who was just on our Tarkine workshop. He's got a
yep.
Z7, I think it was.
Mhm.
And he's now looking at maybe getting an OM as a travel camera, just something a bit smaller.
Mm.
Even though he's using mirrorless Nikon, he still wants something a bit smaller and lighter, and having a chat about the quality of it all. And talking about those things I just mentioned, noise and sharpness and stuff like that. I think it's changing.
It's kind of interesting as well that Canon and Nikon have both stuck with a crop censored version of these mirrorless cameras as well. So,
Yeah,
and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the models. I want to say like an R in Canon, it's like a
it's an R.
R7.
Yeah,
I think it's an R7, and in Nikon, it's like an Z30 or something like that,
yeah,
where they
yeah.
have, for all intent and purposes, it looks like the full frame equivalent, but it's actually not. It's a crop censored
It's a crop
camera, which
sensor. That's right.
gives them the 1.6 times reach on a lens. I
Yeah,
mean, and we all know that Olympus OM system give us a 2 times reach, which can be definitely beneficial, not like technically not so much for landscape, but
yeah.
definitely today when I was doing the sheepdog stuff. So on the EM1X,
Mm.
100 to 400, right, which
Yeah,
is effectively a 200 to 800.
yeah, yeah,
Then I put on the 2 times teleconverter, and
yeah.
I had a 1600 millimeter lens.
So you were poking the eyes out of the sheep.
Yeah, well, it was great. I got some really cool close-up stuff of the dogs at work.
Yeah,
By the way, I literally got home like an hour ago and haven't had a chance to even look at any photos. This was edited on my phone, just so I
right.
could flick Jacko an image and show him. But having that kind of versatility at the long end
Yeah,
is brilliant.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I think yeah, like I think that crop factor does help, and I think yeah, size and stuff does help as well. So I've just noticed, like I said, a bit of a trend coming up in the last sort of few months that people are actually now thinking, well, maybe I don't need all this full frame stuff. Like it's great, but I thought when I went full frame mirrorless, I was going to have a smaller, lighter system, but I don't.
Yeah,
Admittedly, like a lot of these people raising these discussions, and not to sound disrespectful like that, but they're of the older age group.
yeah,
So, they're at an age group where they don't want to necessarily have to carry,
lug the
big
gear.
cameras around, lug gear
Yeah,
around. So I think that's a big factor, but it's definitely one that I reckon at least 50 or 60% of participants on workshops straight away going, what are your thoughts on mirrorless and small sensors? And I'd be like,
Yeah.
why? Because I've got this one, but just curious to know. And you just know straight away there's a bit of an itch there that they're trying to
Mm.
get their head around. So yeah,
It's
I just thought
interesting
it'd be
because I
interesting.
think off the top of my head, I think of all companies, Panasonic own the smallest and lightest weight full frame camera, which is the S9 Mark II.
Yeah.
And when you have a look at that thing and you take a lens off it,
Mm.
it almost you look at it, and you do a double take. It looks like the sensor actually can't fit in there. It's
Yes.
the body is that small. Like the body
Yeah.
on that thing would be smaller than my iPhone,
Mm.
but it's got a full frame sensor in there. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting topic because yeah, we're sold on the virtues of full frame and how good it
Yep.
is, and yep, we say this all the time. It does have advantages in terms of resolution, etc. However, with the advent of AI sharpening, with the advent of noise reduction, and all this sort of stuff, yeah, it's getting harder. The lines are getting less and less blurred. Like you're starting to see them getting
That's
closer and closer together. Yeah,
it's getting closer, that whole thing.
it definitely is.
And I don't know, like I don't know if that means full frame's never going to go, but if everyone starts buying these smaller sensors and they're getting their bang for buck out of these smaller sensors and the quality they want, maybe there will be a shift in the future about what people
Yeah.
want to use and
Yeah, I can definitely
with
see
that.
manufacturers sticking with the crop sensor and a full frame equivalent, if only
Mm,
for price point.
yeah,
Keeping I said this a few, maybe a month or so ago on the show. I would love to see the re-release of the twin lens kit that we were doing
yeah,
10 years ago
yeah,
with your Nikon D5600, with your Canon 800D, 750D. Were fantastic because they
yep,
gave people so much versatility over just two lenses,
yep,
nice, simple little kit to be able to carry
yep,
around and get
100%.
great results
Yeah.
at
It's
$1,000 or less.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think again, I think it ties in with maybe um, why people are questioning this full frame versus smaller sensor. It's also the cost of things.
Mm,
If you want to upgrade or go small, it's $4,000 or $5,000 for a camera now, body plus lenses. Where some of the mirrorless ones that have got the smaller sensors are a fraction of that price. They're 30-40% cheaper. So I think people are starting to weigh up, like you said, the lines are getting close. They're starting to weigh up that pros and cons. Do I actually really need this massive full frame system? Or do I just invest in something smaller with maybe a few more lenses and any reduction or any redundancy in the quality of with noise and sharpness, it's easily fixed or easily accounted for later on. So
mm.
yeah, it's just been an interesting few months talking about
How's
it with
the
people.
how's the irony? I mean, these
Hmm.
companies push so hard to go to mirrorless, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are looking at it going, yeah, mirrorless is great, but I like my small, I like the half frame sensor or the smaller sensor.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a Back to the Future kind of thing where they're actually going to go back and be able to use these lenses that they've
Mm,
used for ages
yeah.
with an adapter. And it's
Yeah.
funny, now you have to put an adapter in between to get exactly what you were getting before
Yes.
mirrorless.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right.
The
Something else
irony's
that
not lost there.
something else that came up, which I haven't heard for years, was someone was talking about APS film.
Wow.
And they mentioned something that I've forgotten about. When you used to be able to shoot it, you could change the format, like the ratio of what you wanted to
Correct.
do. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I remember those. And yeah, like little film cassettes I'll slot in and
It was also known as Advantix. And it was
Advantix. That's it. That was the word was used. Yeah.
yeah, I had a lady bring in a roll of Advantix film to me last year, and I think we ended up sending it off to the United States to get it processed.
Oh wow. What? So
However,
there was no one here did it.
I've since found out that I believe Louise Miller at Griffith Camera House can still process APS
Right.
film or Advantix film. Maybe not now, but I don't know. She was so,
Right.
which is pretty amazing, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not many cameras out there now, and certainly you can't buy the film for it. So
No.
just
And I remember the whole process was different. Like the whole machine was different because they just put the cassette in and it's you remember you can never expose your film. You can never open up the back of the
that's
camera and
right.
expose your film. And
Yeah.
it was just a flashback.
Well, that
And
was the other thing with Advantix is you could wind it off, put a different film in, and
yeah,
wind
that's
it
right.
back on again, and
That's
it would
right.
find back where it was.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
very
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, it was a bit of a blast of the past and it got me straight away. I'm like, God damn it, I haven't heard about that for years. I
Yeah,
remember all that.
and Advantix came out exactly when digital did. So
Yeah,
it was kind of like VHS versus beta.
yeah.
And it was like which
Beta.
system's gonna work, and everyone went digital, thanks.
Did you ever have a beta machine?
No, we did not.
No, neither. I
But
don't
I
think
used
any.
to love going into Blockbuster and looking at all the videos and seeing the beta section,
Yes,
and
yes.
there'd be Jaws and Star Wars, and that was it.
Shout out to Star Wars. Rest in peace, Mr. Carl. Not Carl. Earl Jones, was it? Not Carl.
James Earl
James Earl
Jones.
Jones.
Yes.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shock
That was
to me.
bit sad.
Yeah,
Wasn't that much of a shock, Cam. He was 93.
I know, I know. But
So,
it's Darth Vader. He doesn't die.
well, may the
He
force
didn't.
be with him.
Hmm. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting conversation to have about
Cool.
whether or not things are changing or not. I don't know if anyone in our listening group's going to agree or disagree that things are changing, but it's an interesting conversation about whether or not full frame is maybe losing a little bit of its fizz.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll see.
Hmm.
It's a bit of a watch this space, isn't it, on that one?
Well, we also know that a lot of our listeners are generally wrong with their opinions as well because they still think composition's more important than exposure.
so
Shout out to Ash Hughes as well,
yes,
who made a very interesting comment on our YouTube saying that Cam said it was about exposure, not about light.
yes,
Now, I almost bit back about that. I'm not
right.
going to, but he
Mhm.
made a good point that I didn't specify light, that it was just exposure. But I would have thought they sort of go hand in hand. But
Yeah, it was
he's in
interesting.
Queensland now, isn't he?
It was interesting. It got me thinking about whether the two are mutually exclusive, light versus exposure. I mean, are you arguing that light's more important, or are you arguing that exposure is more important? Let's not go down this rabbit hole now. Let's do this
Well,
another time.
let's
I'm over
let
that argument.
yeah, well, that's right. We can all be wrong, and unfortunately, 90% of the people were, so that's okay.
um, I think we did touch. I made a confession last week that I rarely use a histogram,
Mm,
which of course led me to start looking
using
into
the
them.
histogram.
Not using it so much, but looking into them. Particularly when I was
This is going to be another black. This is going to be another poll, isn't it?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay,
it's not.
cool. Okay,
It's a genuine question that I had a quick Google for and don't know if I got a definitive answer.
you can
So a
ask
question
me.
without notice.
Yeah, here we go. Awesome.
Your histogram,
Yes.
is it a representation of the raw file or the JPEG
Uh, I believe it is a sorry, an output of the JPEG.
of the JPEG?
I
Okay.
believe. Yes.
Okay. So therefore, is it accurate?
Well, therefore, it is in the realm of this is a very much question without notice.
Yes.
Uh, my understanding would be that in the realm of what it's representing, it is accurate because the raw file will have a little bit more room
Yes.
in its dynamic range that it's representing.
Which is my point. Like
Yeah.
the
So
raw file should have more flexibility, more scope. So
yes,
and I think I know why you can't generate a raw file, a histogram from a raw file because the image hasn't passed through the image processor yet. So
that's right.
kind of understand why they show you a histogram based on the JPEG. Now, the other thing is, this brings up another
Hmm.
question, and we've talked about so you can set your camera to basically flash red or put marching
Yes.
ants around an area that's clipped.
Yes.
Um, so is that showing you the JPEG or the raw file?
Again, I think everything's related to the
The
JPEG.
JPEG, yeah. So it's interesting
We
one though, isn't it? Like, because you look at it and you go,
yeah.
well, I'm relying on that, but the raw
Yep.
file might be okay.
Yes, but the raw file would be always better than the JPEG
Yes.
in regards to that. So if you have a JPEG file that is right on clipping a highlight, then the raw file it most likely won't be clipping that highlight. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got more, like I said, more scope and more
Well,
range in there.
let's throw the gauntlet down to these camera manufacturers and give us a raw histogram.
Uh,
Surely it can be done.
I don't know. Why is
Surely
it
it can be
not
done.
done? There must be a reason for
Yeah,
why, and it's
see,
probably
but you see my point, right? Because there'll
yeah,
be photographers out there who listen to this show. They're looking at it, going, "Okay, my histogram is peaking here.
yeah,
It's hard left or whatever. It's blown highlights or it's blown shadows, whatever."
yeah,
So you give up on an image, but not necessarily.
yeah.
So it's a bit ambiguous, isn't it?
Uh, yeah, it is. I think. I think the reason why the raw file is not used, I think, is because it is purely raw. It doesn't have all the things applied to it. Like you said,
Yeah,
it's not
it
a
hasn't been
process.
through the image processor yet.
Hasn't
It's your
been through
digital
any.
negative. Yeah.
That's right. So I think if they were to show you the raw histogram, then I guess, but the raw histogram is what you see through your editing.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
that's what made me bring this up because I
Mm.
was editing the other day
Yeah.
and I was in Adobe Camera Raw. And then of course you got the histogram up in the top right. And
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
set it to an RGB histogram as well as just a highlights Instagram, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Histogram.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that prompted the question. I was like, well, hang
Mm.
on, what am I seeing on my camera?
Yeah.
Now, I would have thought that these very clever manufacturers should be able to come up with maybe even a different kind of visual representation in a graphical format. So rather than like
Mm.
the classic histogram with peaks and troughs, there could be a different way to represent that, in the raw file. That's an overlay, and you can turn it off and on and say, right, this is the raw, this is the JPEG. It'd
But
be that would be
what
interesting.
what would be the benefit of having that histogram for
So
the
so
raw?
that you can see the scope that you've still got to. So it'll say in your JPEG this is going to be lost, but in the
Yeah.
raw file it's not. So you know not to give up on a frame. And I understand that the image
Mm.
on the back of your screen can only do so much. So having another like a histogram,
Yeah.
having another option where you can actually check the raw data
Yeah.
before while you're in the field.
Mm. Yeah, I guess so.
Am I making any sense,
Yeah,
Cameron?
you're making sense. I'm just trying to think in my head what the benefit. Like if you look at the histogram as it is now, and you go, oh, I'm sort of blowing those highlights,
Yeah.
or losing those shadows or whatever. You make that adjustment accordingly to try and to manage
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The raw file is only going to be better than that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I guess it's the JPEG histogram is this is the bare minimum that you need to get
Yes.
for
Okay.
that. That's the
Yeah.
parameters you're working in. If you can get it within that, then you've got a lot more to play with. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I was just
That's a
trying
good
to
way to
find
look at
some.
it. Well, I guess the question I'm asking is how wide are those margins for error? You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
want to know if I'm playing in those margins or if I'm beyond those margins for my raw
yeah.
file.
But
So anyway,
it'd be
we
interesting.
might research that a little more.
It'd be interesting to see what the dynamic range of the histogram is on a JPEG
Hmm.
versus on a raw file. So if we're talking
Well, you'd have
a
to say
14,
four times less as a rule of thumb because generally a raw file is four times bigger than a JPEG file. That's the file size.
well,
So
if you said that though, if you had a 14 stop dynamic range camera,
yes.
and the JPEG was showing you that, it's not going to be a 52 stop dynamic range on the raw file.
No, I would say it goes the other way. When cameras talk about having 14 stops of dynamic range, they're talking about the raw file,
Yeah,
not the
but
JPEG. So
okay, we'll flip it the other
yeah,
way.
yeah. If it was 16 stops, just to make our maths nice and easy, the JPEG
Yeah,
will be four. So
but the JPEG's certainly not showing four stops.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it'd be
So
interesting to
I would
have
I
a
would
bit
I would
further into
say
it.
it's probably a stop either way, be
See,
my guess.
folks, we're all learning all the time.
Yeah,
But
if you
photography
if
is a behemoth, guys. You just got to
look,
start scratching the surface and you just get lost in it.
I'm sure there is listeners who will know the answer and they will be quite happy to post it in a comment.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Go for it. Um, I just want to talk quickly photography news, then we'll get on to a dear cam.
Cool.
Photography news. Very good.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, it came across my desk during the week and it's been news for a little while and rumored for a little while, but apparently it's coming into fruition.
Hang on a sec. You don't have a desk.
We have a new player in the camera market. So this is really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. And it's our good friends over at DJI.
Oh,
Looks like they are going to release a mirrorless camera, um, possibly as early as this month. So if you believe the internet, because everything you read on the internet is true, isn't that right, Cameron?
yeah, absolutely. Totally true.
Absolutely everything. So
Hmm.
now DJI, they have China money. They have all the money in the world, and
Yeah.
it'll be fascinating. They've obviously looked at it and said, we can do stuff here. And when you look at the technology that they have with their drones, the
Mm.
photography and the videography technology they have with their drones, it appears, and this all needs to be proven and we'll wait and see, it appears that they're going to have a much more sort of graphical user interface rather than menus. It's going to
Right.
be touchscreen, push a button because I want to change this, push a button because I want to change that. Much like their drones do,
Yeah.
like icons. So like apps on the back
Yeah.
of your, which is great.
Right.
I was listening to another podcast, another Australian photography podcast a couple of days ago,
All
and
right.
they were and it's not the one you're thinking of, and they were
Stop. Pause.
bemoaning.
Who are you talking to?
They
Who are you listening to?
I was listening to Shutters Inc., which is Glenn Lavender's and Bruce. Sorry, Bruce, can't remember his surname. Listening to their podcast, and they made a very valid point. I think it was Lavender. He said,
Doubt
so
it.
he's gone to Sony. He's now shooting Sony.
Is he just?
Newsflash. And he said he went through the menu system, and he said just for image settings, there's 7 pages of menus. It's like, he said it's ridiculous, and he wants to get rid of all that. So to my point, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what DJI do, because they are known for user friendliness and known
Yes.
for keeping it pretty simple and straightforward. So I say bring it on, because it always, competition's healthy.
But
It'll be
do we need another brand in the business?
it'll probably mean the end of a couple of others. So it'll be very, very interesting to
Mm.
see what happens in that space.
So when's that meant to happen? You reckon this month or
Well,
next month
the
or something?
rumor is it could be as early as this month, September, so
Right.
that they make an announcement or even release a camera.
Mm.
Um, I have a couple of insiders not at DJI, but at the Australian DJI distributor, so I'll certainly give you the heads up, Mr. Blake, about that.
Are you a Chinese spy?
Yes, yes, I am. 136 episodes. You've got it out of me
Yep.
finally.
Finally. I knew it.
Right, I knew it.
Because yeah, I guess well they with their drones they used to be able to put your Olympus micro four thirds sensor on it,
Correct.
and I think they've done other things where you can put Leica lenses on things as well. I believe
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
so. They've already got part of the technology there. So and well, they got all of it
Well,
really.
what's the big kicker here is last year DJI bought Hasselblad, so
Ah.
they're going to have a lot of lens technology, from the Hasselblad sort
Mm.
of heritage to be able to use and to be able to lean on. So it's going to be fascinating. I mean, Hasselblad carry a lot of weight still in
Yeah,
the photographic industry. I mean, their full frame camera is crazy. Just ask Photo Tripper; he's all over
yeah,
it. He loves it.
yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's going to
So
be pretty cool. And the mount, what are they going to use? Are they going to use a proprietary mount? Are they going to use a Canon mount? Are they going to use, who
yeah.
knows? It'll be
Well, I
fascinating.
doubt Canon will give them access to it.
True, given they'll be
I
a
doubt Nikon will
competitor,
give
but
access to it. But if
yeah,
Panasonic Olympus might give it to them because they've already used it.
nothing would surprise me if Sony did, because Sony will be making the sensor for that camera, because they make all the, well, actually, no, they probably won't be. DJI themselves will probably be making it, but
So we're going to have
fascinating times.
all the flyboy drone boys into the now still camera world.
Well, I mean, it doesn't cease to amaze me. The image quality I get out of my Mavic 2, which is now
Mm.
what, 6 years old, maybe
Mm.
older, you know,
Yeah.
out of a 1 inch CMOS
Mm.
sensor in the sky. And I get stunning images. Like
Yeah.
I'm producing 2 meter wide, 3 meter wide canvases out of this thing. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see if they do it. And I kind of hope they do. I'm not saying I'm going to rush out and buy one, because you can be guaranteed they're going to be 20 grand, but
I feel like I might go back to film. I think it's getting all a bit hard. There's too many bloody choices out there now.
well, film's having its renaissance as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I've actually got to drop some film in from the Tarkine.
I think the good thing though, Cam, is the industry's healthy.
Yeah, it is a health. Yeah, it's healthy. Yeah, 100%. And it's popular and
Yep.
people are buying lots of cameras. So yeah, it's a great thing. I always just worry that sometimes there's just too much choice out there, and people, I don't know, just make it's really confusing, and I think people sometimes get a bit lost in all the retail side of things, and
Yep.
I don't know if that's good for photography or not, but yeah,
Well,
it's good that it's strong
that's a
anyway.
free market economy for you.
It is.
Speaking of Apple, the world's largest corporation, have released their new toy, the iPhone 16, 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max, all this sort of stuff. Interesting features in terms of photography. Of course, it's the greatest iPhone ever made, and it's got the blah, 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 and the camera, yada, yada. One thing I did like about it, though, is the introduction of a button that lets you literally tap the button and slide your finger left and right to
Yes.
change settings. I thought that looked pretty cool and intuitive for
See,
iPhone users.
I saw that, and that was the one thing I went, oh, I hate those sort of buttons that you got to sort of because they never work properly, those things.
Well, particularly not when you've got gloves on and you're in the middle of
Yeah,
bloody
so
the
that
overland track or
that
something.
was the first thing I thought of. Was like,
Yeah,
That's not going to work. But
that's not going to work with gloves on.
what else is special about it? It comes in some pretty colors.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like it's the same as the iPhone 15, just with
Mm.
it gets a
AI,
bit tiring.
AI opening possibilities. It's got lots of AI in it.
And have you noticed that AI does not stand for artificial intelligence?
No, what's
It
it?
stands for Apple Intelligence.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, in this situation, it does.
They want to own
AI.
the initials AI, but they
Good luck with that.
want it to be known as Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
It's yeah, all
Uh,
marketing spin and fun and whatever.
and
So
what
I
are they?
won't be rushing out to buy one of those
Why not? They're only $1,400.
unless my plan expires, which it does until next year, and then I'll get one. Then I'll get the 17, which will have what?
It'll
Who
have its
knows?
own sheep rounding up capabilities.
That's right, DCAM. Shall we?
Yes. Yes, why not? Let's do that.
DCAM. Now this says DCAM and Brendan, but the and Brendan's in brackets.
Well, I
I
like
don't,
them
I'm not sure I
already.
want to read this anymore.
I like it already.
Why do I get brackets? All I
Well,
want to read is a freaking question.
it's not dear Brendan.
True. I
It's
should have
dear
called it
Cam.
that.
You should have called it.
D
You came up with the idea. You should have called it.
No, I like DCAM. I actually ripped it off another podcast.
What,
Not
another
a
dear
photography
Cam?
one.
Uh,
Not a photography one. DCAM. This is from Kenny. Did Kenny say where Kenny's from? No.
I
Thanks,
don't think
Kenny.
so.
That's right. Kenny's excited because he's getting his question read out. I've recently learned that you can upload photographs to ChatGPT
No, you
and
can't.
similar AIs such as Claude. I haven't heard of Claude. What's that all about?
Claude.
That's what it says, Claude. Is that it? Well, okay. I've asked them to critique. I've asked them. So you've asked AI to critique a couple of my photos, and I must admit I was impressed with the feedback they gave. This is interesting. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on this as a potential learning tool. Could this be useful, or is there a danger that everyone turns out the same kinds of images once AI starts training us? Wow, he's gone deep. This is a deep cut on AI. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on AI in photography in general. Now, we've banged on about AI ad nauseum,
Mm.
so much so that there is a T-shirt that's available at dsps.com.au that says what, Cameron?
Can I say it?
Don't make me bleep it. Bleep yourself.
What does it say again? It says something about AI.
AI can go itself.
Fuck itself.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did I say
Cameron.
it?
Oh
Oops.
God.
Sorry. I let that word slip. I reckon we should
And
do
cut.
a cut. I'm going to do that as
Yes,
well. So,
that's fine.
um, yeah, it says AI can go fuck itself. So
Oh, don't do it again. Stop it. I'll
stop it.
make you edit this if you keep doing that.
All right, back to the dear Cam question. Upload a photo to GP chat. I don't know. I think.
By the way, all the best and love the show, Kenny.
Oh, thanks, Kenny. Great question. I don't know. I don't think it's. I guess if it's not used for any awards or anything like that, or any sort of outcome of, like an award thing or, competition, stuff like that. If you're just saying, hey, I've just taken this photo, I wonder what AI thinks of it. I think that's okay. I think that could maybe give you some interesting feedback about, compositions and exposure and framing and things like that. Maybe it could come back and say, well, based out of the billions of photos I've researched AI, this is what makes a nice photo, and your photos may be lacking this, this, and that. I think that could be quite a handy tool. But if it goes any further than that, I think it would be a problem. I think if people also start investing too much into it and taking what AI says as gospel, then I think that's also not going to be good for the person. Um, but you know what? As a learning tool, yeah, why not? I think it could be a good basic learning tool to just check, the fundamental basics of a good photograph that AI knows about. And I guess as it gets smarter, it might start coming back and saying, well, that photo you've taken there looks very much like a Brendan Waite's photo. X, Y, and Z are really good about these. Look for this kind of thing, or change this in your next shot, or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think it could be good used carefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I mean, I think as soon as you put a photo into one of these programs, the first thing it does is it goes off and it scours Google looking for a similar image, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it looks for higher rated images or what it what has been deemed by humans in the first place to be a good photo,
Yeah.
and it compares it, and it
Yep.
says, okay, his photo looks like that, her photo looks like that, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I guess as a way to cut through the crap, it might be a good way to do it.
Mm.
I think though, the ship has sailed on the stigma of AI. So that's we're not
Yeah.
getting that putting that genie back in the bottle. Everyone hates it. Everyone hates the thought of AI, and it's all because of Terminator. And we know that AI is going to come and kill us one day. So we hate it.
It's going to become
Um,
self-aware.
that's right, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So it's yeah, as a training aid and as a tool, I don't mind it. Kenny,
Yeah.
you make a good point, and yeah, I don't really have an issue with it.
Yeah.
However, I think what you said was, you run the risk of people taking a photo and putting every single photo into AI or into ChatGPT or Claude, apparently, to find out what it thinks of your photo.
Yeah.
Which, every time we subtract that human element, we're just taking away a little piece of us every time, aren't we? So, um,
It also raises the question though, like something again I hear quite often on trips and stuff like that is, oh, the person at the camera club judged this or entered that award and they judged that and they gave me some feedback. People are generally, as a rule of thumb, they're not overly happy with the feedback they get. There's always a little bit of a, oh,
yeah.
I tried my best and they sort of put me down. Maybe AI will be largely accepted because it's not coming from a peer, it's coming from
Hmm.
a AI. So
Hmm.
maybe that could be something that works.
Well, it's unconditional, isn't it? Yeah,
Well,
that
it
you,
sort of
you
is.
yeah, you just get the feedback and you don't be angry at AI. You put it in there.
That's right.
So
So
yeah.
maybe it will become the way of judging. Who knows?
The thing, and thanks, Mark, who went to the Bendigo Camera Club last night and judged and promoted the Down South Photo Show.
Sure
Thank you.
did.
Hello to all the Bendigo Camera Club people who have tuned into the show this week. Little
Mm.
subscribe button just down there for you. Um, and completely forgot what I was going to say. Mark, yeah. So, you know, when someone like Mark comes to your club and judges, what he does is he stands up there and he judges your photo in front of everybody.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is it in a nutshell. Because all of a sudden, everything he's got to say, everyone in that room is hearing.
Mm.
Now, I don't know, and I think that's why a lot of judges get shit canned because
Yeah.
they didn't not only did they not agree with my photo, I actually felt a bit embarrassed and a bit humiliated in front of a
Yeah.
group. Now, that's human nature. That's fine. So doing
Mm.
something like this, yeah, I think it's got merit. In fact, it might be a new way that camera clubs can judge stuff.
Oh,
Just, give the feedback quietly.
AI judging. Hmm.
No,
I
not
think.
AI judging. I mean, not judging people in front of their peers.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. See, I think that's where people their own worst enemy. They want to get judged and get some feedback, but they don't want anyone else to see it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
that's
sort of
right. It's
sort
a
of
catch
it's sort of
22, isn't
it
it?
is catch 22. So, but yeah, interesting question. Who knows? In episode 465, we
Hmm.
might be AI
Yeah,
talking about
we
photography.
already are, aren't we?
Really?
Isn't
So
this the Matrix?
it feels like it sometimes.
Did I actually photograph those sheepdogs today? I don't
Were
know.
they actually there?
That's right. Is anybody there? Uh, Great question, Kenny. If you have a question for Cam in our Dear Cam segment, please send it in. dsps.com.au is where you can find the links to send us these kind of things. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can email Cameron at
cam@tasphoto.com.au.
seamless. Contact. Brendan can be emailed at contact@cameraandphoto.com.au.
He can be. Hey, have we forgot to talk about something? I've just thought about this,
Okay.
about what's coming up in the next few months. How are we going to do a podcast when we're both overseas? Are we going to try and do one?
It's going to be interesting because I'll need the editing suite on my laptop, which I think we
Yeah.
can do. We can
You
do
think
that.
we can do?
I actually think we could go live
Whoa.
from Vegas.
After 25,000 drinks.
Oh boy, no, let's
What?
not do that.
Let's do it from a rooftop somewhere or
Well, we could. I'm sure we could work that out. Stay tuned for that in a few episodes' time, folks. Um, One thing that I have to mention was the fantastic response we got to Buddy the dog.
He's a superstar, buddy.
He is. It was hilarious.
I noticed he's made no appearances tonight.
No, he wanted to come in tonight, and then I went to let him in, and he sort of just stood there and went, "Nah, I'm not coming in." So dogs, they're funny things. He's a ripper, buddy, and yeah, it was. He genuinely did knock my camera out of commission last week.
Yeah.
That happened,
I noticed though, there was a few loyal listeners who didn't listen all the way through. There was a few people
and
asking,
they want to be in the dark room.
yeah, yeah. And they're saying, oh, I've been listening all the way through from day one, but
Yes.
it means listening all the way through each
And
episode as well.
and that's why when I posted on Facebook the other day, if you know, you know,
You
and
know,
a couple of
yeah,
people said they didn't
they didn't
know.
know.
And
Mm.
and yet, interesting. People don't listen this far, so this is where we shit can everyone.
We do. This is where we get our money's worth.
That's right.
We're almost at 900 subscribers. That's pretty
Which is
good.
exciting. That's
That's
fantastic.
very exciting. We should
It
already be
is.
at 1,000
Yeah.
if people were to stop being so lazy and just press the bloody button. That'd be good.
Beer donations for this week, Cameron.
All right, I'll move on. Uh, we had a beer donation from a new listener, which is fantastic. Thank you to Mel H.
G'day, Mel.
But Mel, I don't know where Mel's from. I'm assuming it's a guy. It could be a girl. I'm not too sure, but thank you. And we had KS, who actually didn't buy a beer, but bought a bit of merchandise, which is good.
Hey, the merch is flying off the shelves,
This is
Cam.
this is 2 weeks in a row that we've
Bingo.
sold merch. I don't know what's going on. I don't
I
know.
love it. Fantastic.
I don't know.
Um,
Is there something going on that we don't know about that people are buying
and
merch about? Or
as I say every other week, when you buy us a beer or you buy merch, it does support the channel. So thank you so much
it
for
does?
your lovely donation to help keep the Down South Photo Show afloat
Yeah,
and
that's
keep us
drunk.
hydrated.
Yeah, that's good. So they were the two donations this week.
Very good. Thank you. Now, let's look into the crystal ball, Cameron. What have you got coming up?
I need some sleep. Seriously, I need some sleep.
You're going to
Uh,
get some.
Going to get some, and then I am flying on a big bird to the other side, as far away from Tasmania as you can possibly think.
Pretty much. If you drill through the earth from Tasmania, you come out in Scotland, don't you?
I think you do. It's a long way away, but yeah, I've got off to Scotland. And when this comes out Friday, I'll be going next weekend after that. So
Okay, so we've got another show up our sleeve of you in
yes,
Australia.
in Australia, yeah,
Australia.
and then I'm going to go to Scotland. I am going to get us to 1,000 subs while we're in Scotland.
Okay. Deal.
Man, I'm going to do it, guaranteed.
Deal.
Get
You have yourself a deal.
You need to print me off some down south photo show 6x4 things that I can take with me,
Okay, fine.
and I'm going to go visit every camera shop in Edinburgh and Glasgow
In the world.
and get punched.
That's right. Who
Try.
the hell are you?
Who do you? I'm from yeah. So I'll be over there, and yeah, that's what I'm
Superb.
doing. So yeah.
Superb.
What about you?
Um, don't want to say a boring week coming up, but it's a business as usual week. School holidays are around the corner, so I've got to get a few things done before school holidays arrive
Yes.
and the population of Ocean Grove explodes. Doing up a few new canvas prints for the display in the shop. I discounted a few in the shop to get rid of them. Sorry, not to get rid of them. That sounds awful. It's like I'm orphaning my kids, but it was like to yeah, make room for some
Make
new
room for
stuff.
new
So
and more incredible stock.
I'm going to put up the black and white shot I did of Gibson Steps, the two apostles
Yes.
at Gibson Steps.
Yes.
Quite excited by that. I actually had a gentleman who came in during the week who has a house at Princetown, which is basically
I know what
like
that
a
is.
kilometre further on from there. So,
Yes.
and he absolutely loved that photo. And I said, well, come back in a week. It'll be on the wall on a canvas. So he's gonna check it out. So
Nice.
do that sort of stuff. What else is coming up? Lots of, just keeping the plate spinning, Cam. You know how it is.
Yes. Yep. Eventually they all fall over, though, don't they?
I haven't lost a plate yet, but
Hey,
not this week anyway.
fun fact. The
Yes,
Earth's circumference in kilometers. How many is that, do you reckon? What's this?
16,000.
Nah, 40,000's around.
Where did I get 16,000
I
from?
got no idea.
Okay,
So 40,075 kilometers is a lap of the Earth around the middle.
okay,
Uh, what do you think it is, Tasmania to Scotland?
exactly half that.
Pretty close. Just under 18,000 kilometers.
So you're going to be literally on the other side of the earth.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit.
cool.
It is cool. What about to Utah? How many kilometers am I doing in the next couple of months? Jesus.
You're going to rack up the Ks.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. 13,690 from Tasmania to Utah.
You need to get frequent flyer mileage,
You
mate.
know what? I don't have anything set up for that because I
Yeah,
fly like Jetstar, then I fly Virgin
yeah,
or
that's right. You don't stick on one airline. Yeah.
no, yeah, I
Well, you
just try
can't
to
at a Tassie.
no, that's right. So in 2 months, I'm doing close to 30,000 kilometers. That's a
Very
lot
good.
of bloody. That's a lot of distance. Right.
Nice.
Is that it?
Excellent. All
Is
right.
that is that the show?
That's it. That's the podcast. This has
I'm
been
s-
episode 136 of the Down South Photo Show. Thank you for your company. We shall see you for episode 137 next week.
I still need to do it. I need to do it at the start. I still need to do it now.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye bye.